What kind of skinny, Charles?
I'm down 6. I'm on this intermediate fast deal. I feel kind of good about myself too. I've been like pumping myself up every morning to make it to noon without eating. It's a struggle around about 11:30. Just if anybody wants to try it.
You got to start from down before practice.
If you can schedule a meeting around 11:30, you can make it. But if not, it's like 30 minutes. It's tough.
Drink more coffee.
Coach,
Yeah.
week 2 in the books. What do you like about the progress from beginning of spring to now?
I think what we're starting to see more guys operate the defense, offense, and special teams, and that's the big thing. You want to see improvement. Obviously, there's some things that we got to get cleaned up with the details, but you're starting to see the 1s and the 2s go out and kind of operate, and that's kind of meaning we're getting there. Obviously, the whole game plan and the whole playbook is not in, but what we have in, you're starting to see more guys be able to operate, which is a positive. Now, you go into the second week, now you're really putting in the back end, the situational stuff. But overall, the first week kind of base install, I feel really good about where we are. There's some inconsistencies, but they're less than the more consistent, if that makes sense. We don't have as many, 3 or 4 play lapses. We got more 1s and 2s play lapses. So we're getting there. I'm pleased with where we are. Obviously, we're not satisfied, but pleased with where we are for week 2.
You talked about Seymour kind of being in the same realm as far as scheme goes as your previous DC. But how much does bringing that experience on the back end, like Eli, those guys, help with integrating some of the new pieces?
Yeah, I think it helps because they can kind of translate some of the similarities to things that we did last year, and then they're able to kind of dive into and dissect the differences, and the beauty of it is they're not starting from square one on defense. You're kind of like in level 200. So you've taken English 101 and now you're taking English 200, which is good because you've got some type of base, some type of foundation. A lot of the things now is we're adding adjustments or variations off of what we did really well last year, which I think is going to be good, right? No team is just going to line up and expect us to do the same thing or not be able to game plan against where we were good. So we've got to have some variations that look similar. We've also got to be able to do what we did last year, which was play fundamental football. So while you're still adding, and I think Coach Seymour's done a really good job of not overloading the fundamental part of it, with the schematic part. Sometimes when you got a really good defense and older guys, you get so play happy that you don't really dive into still coaching the fundamentals, and he's done a good job of that.
Anybody stand out to you, took advantage of the reps today?
Yeah, I think offense came out ready to play today, which is usually the opposite in the first scrimmages. They came out with really good tempo. They started fast. Maurice Jones did some really good things today. I think when you start tackling, you really give the offense a little bit more advantage because obviously you got to bring them on the ground. But Maurice Jones broke some tackles, went the distance. AJ Turner did some good things, in the running back room. I thought Cam again managed, the offense well. The things he was seeing were good. Offensive line wise, it's usually a sack fest in practice because they got to run by the quarterback. But today they had to contain him a little bit and they played a little bit more consistent. And then, which is good, I thought the defense kind of settled in on the back half, which we got to figure out a way to start fast both ways. But they kind of settled in and said, okay, well, you guys came to play, so did we. So overall, pretty good. Offensively, probably jumped out today just because of the fast start.
When you kind of break down the spring before it even starts, you say, I want to be here come second Saturday. You kind of feel you're real close to that or maybe even past a little bit?
Yeah, well, the first thing is you want to be healthy. You want to make sure that you got, your guys, healthy. And we're there. We're pretty good with where we are. We're doing a good job. I think the coach is doing a good job of pitch counting guys who've played a lot of reps, but also getting them the work that they need for the new schemes on both sides of the ball. When you put, you're talking transfer portal, high school guys and guys coming in and out, you start putting new guys in, even though the systems are the same, like on offense. The system's the same, but we're putting new guys in. I'm pleased with where they are from a conceptual understanding standpoint on offense. Like you're not having, guys not know what to do. I'm talking more of the new guys. And I think we're starting to see, the quarterback start to operate a little bit. That's going to be a big question. What does that room look like a year later? You're starting to see a little bit more consistency. Some of the mistakes they make sense. It's not like, the old, elementary kid, what are you doing anymore? It's starting to say, hey, it makes sense, okay? And then from there, you hope that you can continue to build upon it. Build upon the consistency, build upon the installs, because we still got some things to put in. And then you hope that they don't hit that wall. We kind of installed slow so we could kind of see what they could do. And you hope these next couple of weeks you're still able to kind of move forward.
Do they bond a different way in the spring as opposed to the fall, where they kind of the ones level against the ones, but you don't have to worry about it coming up? They can a different kind of bonding that these kids do in the spring.
Yeah, I think they do because they know each other, right? So you kind of know, who you're going against. You know his strengths, his go-to moves. You know how fast he is. And you start to have a competitive respect for each other. Some guys, when you line up against him, you better have a plan because he'll run by you. Some guys, when they're pass rushing, they got really good pass rush moves, so you got to kind of have a plan. And I think that creates a little competitive respect, which ultimately I think brings the team together. Because now when we're standing on the sideline, you're rooting for the defense. You're like, man, you guys banging us up against the wall for 14 practices. Go hit somebody else. Offensively, you guys been tempoing us to death. Go speed up on someone else. So I think it helps build a little bit of camaraderie. And there's nowhere to hide in the spring, right? Everybody's getting reps. Everybody's playing. It's not like, well, hey, I only got 2 plays and you couldn't see what I could do. But everybody plays. Everybody gets reps. So nowhere to hide out there.
How do you evaluate the growth of the wide receiver room? Some young guys in there like Caleb and Chuck.
Yeah, I think the young guys have taken a huge step. Coach Bonight's done a really good job, and I'm talking the Coombs, the Marcus Harris, Brian Robinson's done a really good job. Obviously, you got Charles Montgomery and Caleb McMillan who've played a lot, but the young guys are really stepping up, and you're starting to see consistency. You hate to say it, but there's not as many drops in practice as there used to be. You think that would be your receiver. You think you'd be able to catch, but when you go 220 some odd plays of practice, there's usually a bunch of drops. We haven't had that. So I think again the competition level is going up because guys are looking around the room and saying, if I don't do what I'm supposed to do, they're going to play him. And that's part of building the program the right way. The only way to motivate these guys is competition and playing time. So you got to have competition to say, hey, if you don't do it, he'll do it. And I think we got that in the receiving room.
Coach, through 2 weeks, you brought a lot of new guys in the offseason. Who's just a couple of the newer guys that have stood out to you?
Yeah, DeMarcus Harris at the wideout position, just because he's an older guy. You can tell he goes about his business the right way. He's kind of like Mr. Serious. He doesn't smile, he doesn't joke, he just comes out and works. The O-line wise, we got some young guys who played last year. Tariq, Montgomery, Jalen Slappy, Willis has come in and done a really good job. CK is learning the American way. We always joke with him. It's a little bit faster than it is in junior college. He's picking things up pretty good. Luke Soto, was kind of limited in the fourth quarter program, but he's kind of starting to come around in the tight end position. I think we got some flexibility in that position. Some guys can do different things. Defensively, Mike Green has done a phenomenal job. He's come in and really improved the competitiveness of that position. McCracken's done a good job inside, a bigger guy who's played a lot of football. Keyshawn, has done a good job at the linebacker position. And you're talking new guys, so you're kind of saying, okay, well, one, what can they physically do? And then two, what can they handle mentally? And all these guys have handled the mental part. I think Jaden Yates has come in and done a really good job for a freshman. He's still got a ways to go. I don't know if I had to go buy his dad's jersey again, but he's come in with the right mentality. He still makes a ton of mistakes, but he can tell you the mistake he made. And that's what you're looking for from these younger guys. And then in the back end, I think J.J. Roberts obviously has played this game at a high level. If he's not leading the team in interceptions, he's dang close. In practice. I think him and Cam or him and some of the quarterbacks have got like a deal like, hey, when you're in, I'll throw you a pick, and then when they give you pub, you retweet my retweet. But he's done a really good job. You can see he plays the game cerebrally. It makes sense to him. Ishmael, our kid from Texas at corners, come in. He's really probably up the physicality at the corner spot. Probably sometimes a little too much, but definitely you can tell he plays at the edge. So those guys have done some really good things. Now what we're trying to figure out is, okay, who does what well. We've been moving guys around, so Izzy's played some star, he's played some safety, he's played some corner. Same thing with JJ. Now we'll go back and we'll evaluate now, okay, we're 2 weeks in, midterm grades. Okay, who does what well? What don't they do well? Let's keep them out of that position. Let's start refining their, things they do well, so we can get a little bit of rhythm and continuity going into the summer, and then build off that.
I mentioned the versatility in the tight end room. How do you use that to your advantage, replacing a guy like Devin?
Yeah, Devin was kind of your security blanket, right? He was the kind of guy you could leave in and call any play, and he was going to do it well. May not be great, but he's going to do it well. Now we're in a situation where we've got some specialty guys. When you're talking in the pass game, you got some guys who do a really good job in the pass game. When you're talking running the ball, you got some guys who specialize in that. Now, obviously, we don't want to get into a situation where every time we're passing, we want this guy in, running, we want that guy in. But what we'll be able to do is really kind of specialize certain guys. And then I think, Toby's probably a little bit of Devin, where he can do a little bit of everything well. He's still learning, but I think that's one thing that he's probably kind of the Swiss Army knife in that group. And then obviously Luke's done some really good things, in the run game, and then Salas, he's a big vertical threat down the field, and then Ramad's played, college football before. So I think what you're going to see is going to be different. We're not going to have one tight end that's just always out there. It's going to kind of be, by committee. And then we'll have to do a good job of coaches as taking away what tendencies, we have when certain guys are in to kind of use that to our advantage. Good?
Yep.
Thanks, guys.